Hi guys, Stanton here from Algo Trading. Welcome to my first live stream. I'm very excited about it. There's got a lot in store for tonight. We're going to be building a Bitcoin EA from scratch. We're also going to be looking at some live trades maybe when we do our optimization process. And yeah, there's a lot in store for tonight. So let's get started. We've got a lot to do. So basically what I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to take you through the process how I build an EA. So from the research to setting up the templates, to coding the EA, to testing and optimization. So let's get started. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do research first. So I've never built a Bitcoin EA. I don't know what works, I don't know what doesn't work. I have no clue. I didn't do any research before this. I wanted this to be live and organic, and maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. So the first step is that I look for what strategies work in general, like a general overall strategy. Also, I have my like preconceived ideas. I like RSI. If I had to use one indicator, if someone said to me, you're allowed to use one indicator for the rest of your life, it will be the RSI indicator, without doubt. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for a strategy. So my go-to place when I'm looking for strategies is a website called Quantified Strategies. Okay, well that comes up in YouTube, so I'm just going to go to Quantified Strategies, and let's just go crypto. Now Quantified Strategies, these guys are a bunch of quants really that have developed strategies for mostly for the ETF market, but they develop really good strategies, and most of them are very simple. So if you're ever looking for a starting point for your strategies, this is definitely a place to start. I just want to let you know there is a little bit of a delay. I've done that purposely because I need to have the development screen be very clear so you guys could see exactly what I'm typing. So if there are any issues, just let me know in the chat. I'll periodically look at the chat. If you have any questions, look at the chat. And if there's any issues with the sound, with the quality of the visuals, just let me know. Okay, so just with a quick search here, we found Quantified Strategies and Crypto Guide. Well, that's pretty helpful. And so this is the website. They give you free trading strategies. Larry Collins strategies are probably my best strategies. Oh geez, they just really want you to subscribe. Okay, I don't want to subscribe. Close that. Larry Collins is always my go-to strategies for starting any sort of trading system. Okay, so does market timing work on Bitcoin? We don't need to worry about that. End of month, trend following and momentum strategy. Oh, there we go. Does RSI work on crypto? Okay, that's quite fortuitous because I do love the RSI indicator, and so do these guys, I must say. A lot of their strategies are revolved around the RSI indicator. So if we look, I'm not going to read through everything, we'll just go through the highlighted parts here. The RSI indicator seems to work on Bitcoin and cryptos. RSI as a momentum indicator shows some real promise on cryptos, but the traditional mean reversion strategy of buying the dip and selling the strength does not work on Bitcoin and cryptos. Okay, well that's very interesting because I was going to start with that. I was going to do a typical mean reversion strategy, so I guess that's out. Okay, so it oscillates between, so this is some back tests that they've done. So you can see 60 optimizations. Fortunately, this is done in 2 seconds. The results are weak with few falls. There's a summary of variation with the best profit factor on Bitcoin from January 2015. Okay, so not bad results. So that was the using mean reversion strategy. So it's not really great result. But if you look here, as a momentum indicator, it looks like there's some decent results here. So they're basically taking, if it breaks above a certain RSI level, they'll enter long. If it breaks below a RSI level, they'll enter a short. And then you can see there's some decent results here. So they started with 100K in 2015 and 28 million profit. So this is quite a good strategy. Okay, so we're definitely going to be looking at an RSI sort of momentum strategy. That's definite. So let's just keep that in the bag. We'll come back to that, and let's just see what else they've got here. Trend following strategies. I really love the site. I mean, you guys, it's okay. So by using a simple moving average, you manage to beat the buy and hold trend following strategies working in Bitcoin. We test 3 and 3 profitable Bitcoin strategies, both trend following and momentum. Trend following strategy, 5 cents, 7 two downs. Okay, so trend following strategy. So they're using the 20-day exponential moving average as a trend. Also decent returns from 100K to, and you can see the number of trades, 2015-21, the average gain per trade is 5.99%, 33% win rate. That's not great. A max drawdown of 39%. Okay, so it looks like we are going to be doing some sort of trend following strategy. I think that's the best way to start on it. And then there's momentum strategy. If the close is higher than the close of 25 days ago, okay, we'll come back to this. I don't know if we have time, I'll build this into it, but I think let's just start with the moving average and the RSI, and I think what we can maybe do is try and combine them into a single strategy. We'll test it with first the RSI, then we'll test the moving average, and then we'll test both of them together and see if we get better results. And then we'll also, yeah, they don't use any sort of like take profit areas. They don't use any sort of, from what I see, there's no take profit, there's no stop losses, there's no trailing stops. So we'll also add that in to see if we could maybe get sort of better results. All right, let's jump into the code. Okay, now how I start my coding process is I use my MQL5 starter pack. It's available on my website. If there's one EA that you purchase from me, it must be this EA. It contains everything that you need to start coding an EA. Opening positions, closing positions, managing trailing stops, managing margin size, managing lot size. Any sort of function that needs in order to trade, it's taken care of. You don't have to worry about that. All you need to worry about is your trading strategy, and that's basically the easy part. If you've ever submitted a EA to the MQL5 web store, you'll find that it's extremely difficult and extremely stringent automated validation process. And I've spent thousands and thousands of hours developing EAs trying to get them onto the store. And if someone had given this to me 5-10 years ago, it would have changed my life dramatically. Basically, you'll put your EA up to the store and it will say rejected. And they won't give you a reason. It will say, give you some error message, and then you have to start from the beginning of your EA and just debug, see where the issues are. So now I've basically taken all those issues that I've encountered and I've created validation for them. I've created checks and all the balances you need in order to get your EA up into the store, and also just for EA to run better. It just runs better when there's no errors, when there's no index out of range errors, when there's no issues with the EA. It's just so much easier to develop, and you could give it to people, you could sell it, you could, and without any of those like sort of issues that prop up with badly coded EAs. So the first thing I do is I take my starter template and I will copy all of it. I'll go through the code more in detail once we start coding the actual EA. Let me just check the chat. Is anyone said anything? No. Okay. Just going to carry on. Okay. Okay, so let's go. We've got our starter template. I'm going to copy the whole starter template, and then I'm going to create a folder, and we're going to come up with some stupid name, which everybody does, for the EA. So let's just say new folder, and we'll call it I don't know, Bitcoin Basher. I think that's silly enough. And then we right click into the folder and we'll say new project, or we'll just say new file. We're not going to create a project. We'll do that in another video when we actually create a project and actually create a EA that's ready for the store. But for now we'll just do a normal EA. We're not going to put it up on the store. Okay, next we call it Bitcoin Basher, and we just call the EA Bitcoin Basher as well. We've got the author, we've got our link to our website in it. So next, finish. And then what I do is I just take all of that, delete it, paste my startup template code in there, and we call it Bitcoin Basher. Okay, just change the copyright to 2022, and we could give it a description of the Bitcoin Basher. Okay, the next step now is, and also I could change the comment, so when we see it trading in the, I also like to keep everything neat. Everything neat. It's got to be nicely legible so people can read it nicely. And what I do normally with our magic numbers, because you don't know if it's going to be conflict with another magic number that you've used before. In case you don't know, magic number is a unique way of identifying your EA. So if you've got 15 EAs running on your system, it's so they don't close each other, because it looks at the magic number to see, is this the EA I'm working with? Is this EA need to close a trade on this EA only? It's a difficult concept to explain, but it's basically the unique identifier for this EA, so no other EAs conflict with this EA. Okay, so what I normally do is I take the date. So just so that I know that it won't conflict with anything else. So I've got 2022, 08, so that's 09, 08, 08, and I take the time, which is 22:43. Okay, now I could start talking a little bit about the default functionality that I have inside the starter template. So I've got print log. Print log just says, if you set that to false, it will print out, your trades, your buys, your sells. It will print out all of the information about the EA. If you don't want that on, you just set it to false. Max buy positions, max sell positions, pretty self-explanatory. If you want, it's how many entry positions you want to go into. Do you want to have 5 longs, 5 shorts, etc., etc.? Trade on new bar. I'll always trade on new bar. We'll get more into that later when we start talking about the optimization and the backtesting, but always trade on new bar. That's pretty much standard for me. Close opposite is just a function that if you've got a trade and if it's in a long only, and you don't want to open a long and a short at the same time, because potentially your long or your short is going into negative, you'd close the opposite trade. So if you take a long, it will close the short. If you take a short, it will close the long, etc., etc. Trade period, this is very important. Now, when I do backtesting, I backtest on the 1 minute OHLC, and I set the time period. So I always set it to 1 minute chart, and I set the time period where I want a decision to be made. So if I want it on the open of every 4-hour candle, I set that to 4 hour. If I want it on the open of every daily candle, I set that on the trading period. So basically you could backtest many periods concurrently. So instead of like setting in your backtest that you want hour chart or you want to test an hour chart, you actually set the time that it looks for the entries, or the period that it looks for the entries. And then we've got our basic money management. Let me just see, doesn't look like anyone's cool. Our basic money management. So we've got our stop loss, take profit, trailing stop. If you want to use a trailing stop, your trailing stop and trailing step. Do you want to risk, either you put in a fixed lot or you could risk a percentage of your free margin. And that's, I normally use risk because that means you don't have to change your EA constantly. You could just let it run. And because you want it actually to increase the lot size as your account grows, and then that will mean every time you make a change or every time you get more money in your account, you have to change your lot size. So I just keep it to risk. And you could choose your risk level, 1%, 2%, 3%, however much you want to risk. And then also we have trading times. Okay, so now we've got our starter template. We could actually close this. Just close that. So yes. And now we've got our Bitcoin Basher EA. So I haven't put any of the new code into it. This is purely just the starter template. I'm just going to compile, make sure everything works. Okay, good. Everything's working. Okay, so now we need to create inputs for the RSI, and we can create inputs for the moving average. So luckily I've actually done, just think about it, I've done a similar EA for one of my clients. Here we go. For one of my clients. So I'm just going to copy that, open up that. So you can see we've got a moving average, a slow moving average, and we've got an RSI setting. So we're going to select, just going to put both of these in. And we'll put it below the money management section. Also, I'm going to add a new parameter for each of these, is whether we want to use it or not. So then we could actually test RSI alone, and we could test MA alone. So then we could actually just see how they work individually or how they work together. So it's a Boolean, it's a type of Boolean, so it's a true false answer, and we're going to call this, just going to say like underscore MA use, something like that. It's fine. And then we could just say, yeah, just give it a description that will appear in your tester, MA, and we just say use MA indicator. Right, and then we're going to do the same thing for the RSI. And we could set them both to true as the default, but we'll change it when we go into the back tester. Hi Martin. Yes, the records will be available after the live stream, and also I will put this actually on this EA on my website as well. So everything will be available. I'll put this EA for, and then also we will set the settings correctly once we've actually configure the EA. Right now we're just putting in the code to develop it. Okay, RSI use. So now we go and we're going to say use RSI indicator. Okay, so that's the inputs. Next thing, what we're going to do, we can just scroll down. Next thing, we have to initialize, declare variables for the indicators, and you can see I've got here declare indicator handles here. Okay, and then what we're going to do is actually instantiate these handles. So I'll actually talk a lot about this a little bit. I'm just going to copy it from the other EA. And see it, create indicator handles here. So what this is actually doing over here, it's actually saying what time frame you want the indicator to use, what settings you want the indicator to use, and the applied method, and the applied price. So, you know, when you set up an indicator in your chart, all of these sort of things are available to you. So you want it on closed, you want it on open price, you want it to... And also what's really nice about coding EA is when you're using indicators is that you could set the time period. So you could say, I want to use a daily moving average and I want to trade an RSI on the 1 hour time frame. And it allows you to do that. So okay, so if we got everything that we need, so that's the only real part that you need to add, is just these handles. I'll scroll down slowly forward, and then also you could see I've got the error handling so that if it fails, it won't break. The EA is all of that sort of stuff. It's very, very important to put in error handling in your EA. It's extremely important. When you try and submit it to the apps, to the MQL5 store, they will reject it immediately. The second something fails and it's not the error is not handled, it will get it rejected immediately. And then all we need to do now is just say when the EA closes. Oh, I didn't even put it over there. Okay. Let me just get something else quickly. It's just something that you need to do so that it releases the indicator once you close the chart. Okay, so that's just, we release the indicator and we don't have a Bollinger Band. Okay, so that's setting up the indicators. That's all you need to do to set up the indicators. I'm going to compile that. I'll just check if anyone... Oh wait, sorry. Okay, no further questions. Let's go back into the... Okay, so now we could go on to the fun part, actually creating the strategy. So that is the setup of your indicators. I'm going to scroll slowly down so that you guys could see. I mean, you could pause, you could copy it, you could do what you want. Okay, so now this is the main function of every EA. That is the tick function. So basically what happens is on every tick, this function is called. So every time your candle moves up a tick, this function is called. And now you could see sort of the bonuses of having this starter template. Here we have this thing called free stop levels, and we check, do you use, if you want to use the trailing stop, then do the trailing. But everywhere you could see I've got this free stop levels. Basically what that does, this is a function that makes sure that the amount that you're putting in is correct. Is the amount that your stop loss, is it the minimum amount of stop loss that your product can move? Is the price correct? So just say for instance on the NASDAQ the lowest lot size is 0.01. Now you've got $10 in your account and you're running an EA and you put your risk at 10%. It will create a trade size or a lot size of 0.00001. So basically what this does is just checks to see, is the level that you're putting in correct? Is the price, is the lot size correct? Is the price that you're putting in for your trailing stops correct, etc., etc. So that's another thing that you need to just that it does. It just takes care of all of that sort of like time-consuming coding issues, but you actually don't want to worry about. All you want to do is you want to start coding your EA. There's nothing that you don't want to worry about, like position size and logic, error handling. You don't have to worry about that. All you want to do is just code your EA. Okay, so Larry RSI 1. So now we're going to put our trading logic here. So this is the onTick function. So the onTick function, what it will do, it will go to check, use your state, your trailing stop. It says if you want to use a trailing stop, check if the trailing stop is hit. Then I've got another function that checks to see if it's a new bar, and if trade on new bar is set to true. And then I've got my time check. Time check could be before the new bar check, but it doesn't really matter. And then also I've got another function that you could check if you want to. So if you want to only trade between 8 and 10 in the morning, for instance, like to say the UK Open, you could say only trade between that time, and then if it goes after that time, close any open positions. And again, all these functions are taken care of. Close all positions. And then this is the function that I use where I put my signals. So you can see here it says trading logic here. This is where you put your trading logic. So this function check signal is the main function. That's where we put our trading logic. And then if that function returns a true for buy, it will enter buy, and again it will check the levels. Can you actually buy? Do you have the correct amounts? Do you have the correct lot size, etc., etc.? And then I've got another function that checks to close opposite. So if you want to close the opposite, that, as I explained earlier, it will close the opposite position, and then it will enter either the sell, or it will close the sell positions, and then it will open a buy position. And then the same thing for the sell. So this is now, this check signal is the heart of the EA. This is where we're going to put our code. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is we need to just put in, I'm just going to copy stuff from the other thing. So we need to check here. We need a, so basically what we're checking is a MA buy, is the MA in buy mode, is the MA in sell mode, is the RSI in buy mode, is the RSI in sell mode. And then we're just going to do some, you just need to declare our arrays. So this, what we're doing here is that these arrays is what you store your data in. I mean, I'm not going to go into teaching MQL5 coding. I'm just showing you the way I do it. So this is basically a variable that keeps your data in it. And then you use this set array as series, and what that does is it takes that array and it puts it into 0 to 1, 0 being the latest data point, and 1 being less latest, the candle behind, 2 being the candle behind, etc., etc. And it puts it into order from 0 to 1. Okay. Okay. Now, what we're going to do now we're going to do some more error handling here. So I'm just going to copy this whole function. So basically, we don't need more than three, what's it call it, 3 days or 3 periods back. So we use 3 periods back, and then these functions here basically gets the data for the last 3 periods, and it puts it into the array. So this is another way of handling. So basically, if your EA just starts trading and it doesn't have enough data, it will just return. It's not going to give it an error. You don't have to put this in, but I just like putting it in because it's another way of just protecting your EA from breaking. Because what you find is that if you add an EA onto a chart and there's a lot of errors, it just detaches itself from the chart. And then I've got this other function here as part of the starter template that just calculates all your position. It tells you how many buys you have and how many sells you have. It tells you the volume of the sells, the biggest sell, the biggest buy, etc., etc. There's just some extra logic I've got in there. And then now the fun part. We're just going to now develop the trading strategies. I think that is the close, check exit here. Now we're going to develop the trading strategies. Okay, so now we don't need to copy anymore. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just going to develop the strategy. So we're going to look at the previous candle. So if the previous RSI was above a certain level, then we are going to enter the long. So we can actually just do this here. We can actually copy that. And I'm always going to use the previous candle for this demo. I'm not going to. Okay, so basically what we're saying here, let me just style it up. If the RSI 1, so 0 is the current one, the current RSI, 1 is the previous one. So basically what I'm saying is I'm checking the previous RSI, the previous period. If that close, that previous period, and the RSI is above or below a certain area or level, go long or short. And if it will happen on the open of the next candle. Okay, so if the RSI of the previous period is less than the RSI down, so basically what that's saying is if it crosses below a certain threshold, and then we just say like, yeah, we say RSI underscore buy equals false. Okay, and then we say RSI buy equals true, and RSI, we're just doing this because we don't want to enter a cell when equals true. Okay, and then we need to do the moving average logic, which is essentially that. So now what we're checking is, oh wait, sorry, I forgot to put in the use. IMP underscore MA use, sorry, RSI use. So that's just saying if we're using the RSI, do that. Style it. So if we're using the RSI, and then we can actually just set these to false here. It will just be neater to read. Okay. Let's style it up. Okay, so that's the RSI entries. And then we're going to say if IMP underscore MA use. That's basically what we're doing there. So we're just saying if we've set use RSI to true, then use the RSI. Okay, so those are our entries. And I'm just going to set this to false. MA underscore buy equals false. MA underscore sell equals false. Okay, so there we go. That is our entries. And then we've got these two variables called good buy and good sell. So basically we're checking good buy equals MA buy and RSI buy. Okay, and then we've got good sell is equal to MA sell and RSI sell. So basically what that is checking is saying if the MA gives a buy signal and the RSI gives a buy signal, then it's a good buy. But see what I'm doing here is that if I say don't use the MA, it's always set to true before it gets into this. It's always set to true to begin with. So if you don't use your MA, it will always be set to true. So the RSI buy, if you're not using it, will always be set to true. I hope I'm not going too deep in the woods here, but this is as simple as we can build EAs. Okay, so there's our logic. Now all we need to do is now our exit strategy. See, because what we've got here is we've got a buy exit and we've got a sell exit. So basically what we were saying, so if we look at the RSI, if it goes above, say, 50 and the RSI hits 75, we want to exit the trade. I mean, we don't need to do that, but I think let's just add it in to give some extra. I mean, we could set it to 100. We could set some ARB levels if we don't want to use it. So now we're just going to do our exit strategy. Always do your exits before you do your entries. So we're going to use this code again. If we're using the RSI, and then let me just go to the exit strategies of the previous one. This is slightly different to the code I did for a client, but it's we're actually always looking at the previous. So if the R1 is less than the sell exit, then close all sell positions. So that's coming top to bottom. So if it crosses below, let's say 50 and it gets to 25, we'll exit the position. If RSI is greater than the buy exit, so we'll close all the buy positions. And you can see here I've also catered for all these type of functions that you don't have to worry about. All you've got to say is close positions and you put in the position type. Okay, so now we are ready to test our EA. Let's compile it, make sure we've got no errors. Okay, there's no errors. So that is our EA in total. I'm just going to see if there's any, and then I'm just going to quickly scroll through some of the. So there's our check signal. Just scroll through some of the functions that we have. Refresh rates, it just refreshes the rates. Check volume, so here's a function that checks the volume and if your lots are correct for the amount you want to enter in. Open position, that's it allows you to open your position. Open buy, that's open a buy trade, and you can see all the error handling. I check if you've got the right amount of margin in order to trade. Open sell, same thing. And then also just some printing out. Remember we said print log equals true. This is what that does. It will print out the logs of your entries. Don't worry about a get array. That's just I've put that code in to do to load the data into the array. This is sort of a custom function that just does that easily for you. Normally you'd have to write this out all the time. I've simplified that for you. Trailing stops taken care of for you. And then we've got close positions. That's our calculate positions. And then our is new bar function. Close all positions. We could do that if you want to. And then your time check. So basically all this code is already written for you. You don't have to even worry about it anymore. All you got to do is just find your trading logic. Okay, so now let's start testing and optimization. Okay, one thing I just want to say to you is when you're testing, sometimes the tester says that you can't test, you can't optimize because it's a debug version or something. So what I normally do is I'll go into, so I'll create a new folder, just call it like, I don't know, call it like live testing or something like that. Okay, then I'll go to I'll open the folder, this experts folder. I'll find my Bitcoin Basher EX5, and then I'll just put it into this live testing. So normally when you copy it to a new folder, it doesn't give you that issue. Did a copy? Yeah. Okay, so now we start testing. Now the fun part. So let's go into our, and then what I could do some technical analysis. We could do some trading while the optimizations are running. I think will be a lot of fun. So let's open up our strategy tester. And I have no clue if this is going to work. This is pure speculation, if it actually is going to work. Absolutely no clue. Okay, strategy tester taking quite some time to open. There we go. Okay, so we are going to test what is going on. Why is it not showing me my... That's pretty strange. Okay, haven't seen that before. Where's that live folder? Just refresh here. There we go. Live testing. We're going to test this on Basher. So now, I test on the 1 minute chart. Always test on the 1 minute chart. Let's just change. We're going to do Bitcoin. And we're going to just test for 2 years. We'll run a back test over a longer period once we've actually tested it. I'll always use 1 minute LOC. And I know what's going to happen. People are going to put in the comments, oh, you have to test in every tick mode. Else it's invalid, and I've heard it so many times. Well, the answer is you don't. You don't need a test in every tick mode. If you are not using ticks in your trading strategy, you do not need to test in tick mode. I'll say that again. If you are not using ticks, I'm not using ticks anywhere in my program. The only place I actually might use a tick is for my trailing stop, but I test on the 1 minute RLHC and I test in a minute. So the worst case scenario is that my trailing stop will get hit a minute later. I do not use ticks. I tick on a new bar, I look at the previous bar, and I look at the previous RSI or the previous moving average. I do not use ticks anywhere in my code. I just want to just check something quickly. So just want to explain the moving average, because I'll show you exactly how my strategies work. That I do not need to. I use the rates. This rates is basically your, call it your bars. So on the previous close. I'm not looking at a tick. I'm not looking at ticks in between. I'm looking at the close of the previous bar. If the close of the previous bar is above the slow MA, then it's a buy. I'm not looking at ticks. I don't need ticks. And a lot of people don't understand that. They will hassle you and say, oh, you don't show every tick or every tick according to real ticks. It doesn't matter. I don't use ticks. So that was my rant. I'm going to carry on with my thing. All right. And people just don't get it. I don't understand it. But anyway. Okay. So now we got the Bitcoin. We're going to test in the 1 minute chart. Just do for 2 years. We'll just see what it's like. And starting deposit of 5,000. Okay, so let's go into our settings, and I'm going to just do a fast generic algorithm. Again, I mean, you could use slow, but I'm just going to get a feel. I just want to feel what works, what doesn't work, and then we'll sort of like optimize more in depth. Okay, and also another thing, I use the cloud network. So you're going to have a little bit of money into your MQL5 account. I just find that it makes backtesting so much faster. So I just want to just check if everything's still cool on the feed. Guys, is everything alright? Are you still receiving? Okay, it seems alright. We're still receiving. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm going to test on 1 minute on HLC, and then let's get our inputs. So we're going to trade. We're going to trade on new bar. Close opposite trade. I don't know about that. And then the period, we're actually going to test from current. I don't think we need to go to. This is another thing that also I find. People get an EA for the first time. They will see it and they'll get the optimizations and they'll click, optimize, 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 and then they'll start running it. But if you actually look at the parameters, these are meaningless. Like my stop loss in, let's just say, let's go to something, my MA. My default is 200. So now it's taking 200 to 2000. It's not taking MA10 to MA50 or MA, and I find a lot of people make that mistake and they said, oh, they get bad results in optimization. Well, you're not setting your start, your step, and your stop parameters correctly. You need to set these correctly. You have to actually understand what you want the EA to do. You want it to say, I want to try all the MAs from 5 to 25. So then you'll say, a slow moving average, my period is going to be, my start is 5, I'm going to go up in steps of 5, and I'm going to go up to the 200-day moving average. So you need to be able to understand like these are and how these work, because you'll get an EA, you'll buy it with the store, you'll click all of them, you'll optimize and say, well, I'm getting terrible results. Well, you're not optimizing correctly. You need to understand what the EA is doing, what you want it to do, and what you want the settings to be able to do. Don't ever buy EA if you don't know how it trades. It's a complete waste of time. You need to understand what the EA is doing and exactly what it's doing. Okay, so we're gonna go another rant. Okay, so stop loss, we just need to see, now this is another thing, stop loss levels for Bitcoin is massive, so we just need to just see what the step is in the, so the Bitcoin, let me just see, Bitcoin, the stop levels is 13,000, okay, so basically what that's saying is that you can't put a stop less than 13,000, if you make a stop loss 7,000, it's not going to work, so you need to go up in steps of 13,000. Okay, so basically what we take is, so our start will be 0, because we don't want a stop loss, 13,000, and we could go up to, I don't know, let's just see Bitcoin chart. We could, I don't know, go up to 1,500,000. Let's just have a look at a Bitcoin chart. Let's just chart it quickly. Let's see what the difference is on a big move. So if we take our tool here, and we go from, let's just go from here, say look to here, that's, so 13,000, no, that's 135,249 points. So let's, I mean, if we trade in this a daily point, you probably want it to move to 500. So let's set this to 500,000. Okay, and then we just copy that into your take profit. And then your trailing stop, you could do the same, because trailing stop and trailing steps, you have to move in that, you can't move less than that. And this is, I mean, this is valuable, yeah. A lot of people get this wrong. Money management, we're just going to risk, going to take that off, and we're just going to risk 1% per trade. Okay, now we could check. I'm wondering if we should just do one thing. So we're going to go 5, 5, 200. We're going to use the exponential. So I'm not going to actually do all of them. And then we're going to use the time frame from current. to 1 month. That's fine, we can leave that. Okay, RSI settings. We're going to say use RSI, so we go from RSI 2. They use the RSI 5 in the thing, so I'm going to go RSI 1 to 20. That's fine. You shouldn't really go bigger than RSI 20. Normally 14's the max. RSI, we'll go with the close price. So the up level, we're going to take the up level from I'm going to take the up level from 50. We go up in steps of 5 to 100. It might be too much, but I mean, I don't think we want it less than 50. And then the down level, we're going to start at 0. We're going to go up in 5, and we're going to go to 50. I think 50 is your midway point. So basically, if it crosses the 50 RSI, then it's going to go long. If it crosses below the 50 RSI, it's going to go short. And then the exit, we're going to also do from 50. The buy exit, we're going to go from, well, let's go from 60. 60, we'll go up in, well, let's go 55. We'll go up in 5, and we'll go to 100. And then we'll do the same for the short. We'll go there, we'll go up in 5, and we'll go to 50. Okay, and that's it. We're going to trade every day. Bitcoin actually trades on the weekends, so let's actually put that to true. And that's our configuration. That's it. So let's run the optimizations. And then while we're running, we could do some technical analysis and look at some live trading. So let's start that. Did I do? Yeah. Let's see if we get any trades. You can see it takes really quick to run when you run on the network. Because basically what you're doing, I mean, it costs money, but what you're doing is actually using computer power or computing power of people who rent out their servers. So you can see I'm accessing currently 512 servers. 5,103 servers to run my optimizations on. So you can see it's really okay. So we're just going to let that run. We'll see if we get anything decent. I mean, and then I'll just filter this. We're going to say filter for 0 trades, because we will get a couple of 0 trades, losses. We'll filter anything drawdowns less than 50. You don't want a 50 drawdown. I mean, that's way too much. Okay, so already we're getting some positive trades. Okay, so while this is running, let's look at some trading. Okay, so currently I have got some open positions in AVAX. I love doing this. If I just open this up, everybody is in. The bull run started. We're going to the moon boys. Woohoo! We're getting large, and that's when I short. So as you can see here, let's switch to the daily chart. I'll show you my reasoning for my short, and you can look at that big doji. So I like to look at confluences. So there are 3 confluences here that I found, and the reason why I went in for the short. Firstly, we're at this major resistance area. I mean, you can see it's on the daily chart. It was tested a number of times, came down, it was acting as support, then it started acting as resistance. So we got to this major resistance zone. Then my RSI2, my favorite indicator of all time, RSI2, was above the 95. And you can see every time that it breached 95, we had a pullback to support. Again, yeah, touched 95, pulled back to support. And then this was just a downtrend, but you know, every time it touched that 95. And then the third confluence is that we're still trading below the 200-day exponential moving average. So for me, I mean, yes, guys are going wild. They think the bull run started, but I'm not convinced yet. To me, we're still below the 200-day moving average. The 50-day exponential moving average is below the 200. That's bearish in my mind. So I will not be bullish until this crosses above the 200-day moving average. Now, maybe you say it's too late. We're missing a, let's see, we're missing, let's just see how much move. You know, you're missing a 102% move. But you know, like, you can't, you've got to follow your strategy. You've got to keep to what you know and what works for you. So I saw the short and I took it. So currently, with that trade, $25 up. I've got a small account that I'm just going to be using for my demos and, you know, for my technical analysis and for live trading, and try and work this up and see how far we could get. I started with $200 and about $288. So currently on this trade, I'm 28% up. And then on the theta trade, it's almost identical trade, but I'll just show you there's a little bit difference in the technical analysis of that. So let me just check the chat. How's it, Martin? No, I don't use walk forward optimization. I use walk forward testing. Once I've got my best results, I will put it through walk forward testing, but no, I don't use walk forward optimization. I'm still looking at that, learning how to do that. There is code. I went through there's some very nice code on the MQL5 website that actually talks about that. But no, I would just use walk forward analysis, and then I would optimize generally as we go, as it goes live, and tweak as we go live. So how are we doing here? Let's just see. Oh, we've got some nice profits. So let's just look at, so it's a 35 on the, so we trade period 1 week. Oh, so we trade once, we look for a new entry once a week. Okay. 35-day moving average. So it's a 35 on the 1 day. And then the RSI, 2-period RSI, if it goes above 50, yeah, that's pretty right. And if it hits 70, we take profit, and if it goes below 15, like given the best result at 1%, so it's about 50% returns in 2 years, which is not really bad. But we'll go through the optimizations afterwards, and we'll find something. Okay, so now let me just show you the theta trade I took. Almost identical. We were at support, I mean resistance, but there's a little differences here. Let me just open up the full view. You can see there's a little difference here, is that we're moving inside this like sort of ascending channel. Yeah, again, we're at this sort of major support area. You see it broke out of that support, and I thought, okay, we might be going long at this point, but then there's still, you know, this level here at about 118. So I took the short over here once it got to the upper level of the ascending wedge, and I'm going to ride it till it comes down to here, and then I'm going to start looking for the long position. So I mean, even though we're still below the 200-day moving average, I'm going to look for something like this, and then on the AVATRADE, I'm going to let it come down, or if it does come down, I might look at start taking profits sometime soon, because we're already 10% up for the day. More than 10% up for the day, so it's a pretty decent trade. So I might look to just get out. me just move this a bit. And this is my AVATRADE, what I'm going to be looking at. Man, sorry. Similar scenario. Take it down there, and then we go up. And then hopefully by that time this will start curving up. This will come down to be below the low 5. As you can see here, we get nice. That's why I love the RSI. So you can see it's big levels above 95. It doesn't hit that very often, but you can still it's a very good indicator. You can see it gets below 5 on the RSI2. You see a pullback. Below 5 on the RSI2, we get a pullback. You know, below touches 5, we get a pullback, or you know, a continuation up. This is why I love the RSI. I mean, if you use the RSI2 on the daily chart, it is a deadly indicator. Okay, that's that. Let's go look at our, looks like our optimizations are finished. Just one more technical analysis quick. Is gold. Gold, I love gold. Gold is pumping right now. And I think, you know, the interest rate decisions are sort of coming to an end. I mean, I took the trade down here at the support zone. These are algo trades, by the way. These other two, these were taken by my algos, but this was a manual trade. Took it at support. We're pumping right now. Let me just look at the toolbox, and you can see, I mean, we've done also a small account that I'm just using for technical analysis and for showing you guys my trading strategies. But I mean, you can see we've done also since the 5th, we've done almost, you know, 10% in 3 days. So it's not bad trading. Alrighty, let's have a look at what we got. So what I'd like to do as well now is, you see we've got some profitable positions, quite low drawdown, about 50% profit over 2 years, which is not bad. What I'd like to do now is go by profit. This, by the way, is the best indicator. If you've got a result above 80, so when you use your tester, you must set complex criteria max. So essentially what you're looking for is the max profit with the highest result, above 80 if possible, and the lowest drawdown. Then you've got something pretty good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort by profit. Okay. The drawdown's a little bit too high. So looking maybe at, it's too few trades. So I think we're going to be looking at around too few trades as well. There we go. That's something. It's also very few trades. It trades once a week, but it's a holding position. So the 40-day MA, we're using both the MA and we're using the RSI. RSI2, see, it's deadly. RSI2 is deadly. You guys gotta use it. Okay, so let's run this. Oh, what's this one? That's Sharpe ratio. That's very high Sharpe ratio. You shouldn't really trust too high Sharpe ratios, but let's run some. We've got some. Remember, this is very rough. We've just. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not bad. So you can see it's a buy and hold type strategy. Okay, it's not terrible. I mean, if we just go to the back test. So 36, so it's very in line with their 33% because we're using stop losses and everything, so it's in line. The average profit trade is 377, which is good. So you can see there's a sort of buy and hold type strategy. There's more losses than gains. Got 100 tick ratio. Nice drawdown, 6% over 2 years is nice to work with. So what we could do now is actually just let's change the risk level to 2, and I want to run it again. So it's much better result. So, and our drawdown is still in a fairly decent range. Okay, so we sort of got something here, and I think with a little bit of tweaking, I think we could have quite a nice EA here. Just one more test I want to do is before we sign off, is I want to run it on, I downloaded all the history from Tick Story for Bitcoin. Or from 2017 from Tick Story. I want to run it on, like now, just go further back and see if it is still profitable. Problem is you're not allowed to optimize on the network with custom symbols. So okay, so we've still got a fairly decent equity curve. So over that period, we started with $5,000. We ended up with $13,000, so it's just over 200 or 300%. Alright, drawdown of only 16% over that period. Okay, so not bad. Not bad at all. So this will be available on my website, the EA. You could go check it out there. And is there anything else that we need to cover? I think we've pretty much done it. Just over an hour. So there we go. Let me just go into... So guys, so not a bad result. We managed to get a profitable Bitcoin EA. What I will look at doing maybe is that BitGet, the exchange that I trade on with cryptocurrencies, they have an API. So maybe what we could do in one of the up and coming videos is that we actually use the MQL5 to define the trade, and then we'll post using the API and trade on BitGet, because I find that the spread is extremely large when you trade the CFDs, and then we could maybe actually trade the proper cross. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was fun. Please subscribe, hit the notifications button. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. We're going to be doing a lot of live trading. We're going to be doing a lot of technical analysis. We're going to be building EAs constantly. I hope it wasn't too complicated, too in-depth, but you know, you could always go back in the video. Feel free to send me an email, go to my website, contact me. I'm happy to help. Alright. Cheers guys. Hope you enjoyed the video.